We open on a family sitting down for dinner, a father telling his son to wait for grace. And honestly, this little moment of normal domestic life lasts about 10 seconds before everything goes to hell. A man walks in, and within moments the father is dead and the boy is left staring at his face, a face that's about to be carved up with a cross-shaped scar. This is young Nat Love, and the man who just slaughtered his family is an outlaw with a scorpion tattooed on his hand. Before he leaves, he tells the boy he gave him that scar so he'd recognize him when he comes back. That's the entire movie in one sentence, honestly. A promise of vengeance branded into a kid's face. Years later, Nat Love is all grown up and he's become exactly what you'd expect. A gunslinger who hunts down outlaws for sport, except his real obsession is finding the man who killed his parents. He tracks down a preacher named Esparza, who he believes is connected to his target, and shoots him dead in his own church mid-confession. It's a brutal, almost ritualistic kill, and what I love about this opening stretch is how the film doesn't try to make Nat likable in a traditional sense. He's cold. He's been carrying this for 20 years and it's hollowed him out. After that, Nat rolls into a saloon run by Mary Fields, his on and off love interest, and almost immediately gets into a tense standoff with Cherokee Bill, one of the most dangerous men in the territory. The two of them do this whole quick draw posturing thing, all bravado and threats, but Bill backs off for now. It's clear these two are going to collide again, and honestly the chemistry of menace between them is one of the best parts of the film. Bill isn't just a tough guy, he's unsettling, like violence is just a Tuesday for him. Nat heads out with his crew, Bill Pickett and Jim Beckworth, and they ambush a gang called the Crimson Hood, stealing a stash of cash that, unbeknownst to them, belongs to Rufus Buck. And here's where the film's real engine kicks in, because Rufus Buck is the man Nat has been hunting his entire life, the scorpion-handed killer from the prologue, and Buck has just gotten out of prison after a train breaks him loose in a wild, almost operatic escape sequence led by his crew, including Cherokee Bill and a woman named Trudy Smith. When Buck and his people realize their stolen money is gone, they don't go after Nat directly, not yet. Instead they ride into town and grab Mary, Nat's love, holding her hostage as leverage. This is the moment the story really locks into place for me, because up until now Nat has been the hunter, but suddenly he's reacting, scrambling, forced to play by someone else's rules for the first time in years. Buck's crew, led by Trudy, confronts Nat and basically tells him the terms: return the stolen money plus an extra $10,000, robbed from a bank in a nearby town called Maysville, by Friday or Mary dies. What gets me about this scene is the conversation between Trudy and Mary while Mary is held captive. Trudy tells this devastating story about her childhood, about a sister who died slowly from illness and a bully named Hope who tormented her, and how Trudy's father beat her for not protecting her sister, only to come home and find Hope already dead, throat slit by someone unknown. It's heavily implied Trudy did it herself as a child. This isn't just exposition, it's the film telling us exactly who Trudy is, someone who has been making people pay for cruelty since she was a little girl, and who has zero patience left for mercy. So Nat and his crew, now reluctantly working with a few extra hands, ride into Maysville and pull off the bank robbery. It's tense but almost comically smooth. The manager practically hands over the money once a gun is pointed at him, and what struck me here is the dark humor, Nat literally robbing a bank specifically because the man who killed his family ordered him to. The student becomes the outlaw the father always was, except now it's not even his choice. They bring the money to Buck's camp to make the exchange for Mary. The handoff is tense, full of posturing between Cherokee Bill and Beckworth, who clearly want to test who's faster, but it doesn't come to that, not yet. They count the money, Mary gets unhitched, and for 1 second it looks like this might actually go smoothly. Of course it doesn't. Once the money's confirmed, Trudy orders Mary killed anyway, a full firefight erupts, and this is where the film just unloads. Cuffy, revealed to also be going by the name Cathay Williams, a young woman in Nat's crew, gets shot but keeps fighting. Bill Pickett takes a hit too, brushing it off with dark jokes about his girlfriend not being ready for him yet, classic Pickett, the guy who refuses to take anything seriously even while bleeding. But then it's revealed that someone betrayed Nat's crew, fed information to Buck's side, and in the chaos, Pickett is shot in the back and killed. It's a gut punch because Pickett has been the comic relief, the loyal friend, and his death isn't even given a dramatic showdown, it's cheap and sudden, which somehow makes it hit harder. Nat survives the ambush, badly wounded, and ends up face to face with Rufus Buck himself for the first time since childhood. And this is the scene the entire movie has been building toward. Buck doesn't gloat. Instead he tells Nat his own story, how his father was a violent drunk who beat his mother to death, how Buck was left alone at 10 years old, how he searched for his father for years out of pure hatred. And then comes the gut punch reveal: Buck eventually found his father, the man had cleaned himself up, become a preacher, had a new wife and a new son around 10 years old, a son with eyes just like Buck's. That son was Nat. Buck killed his own father, Nat's father, as revenge, but he says killing him weren't enough. The real revenge was letting Nat live, marking him, and watching him grow into exactly the kind of violent outlaw his father used to be. Everything Nat has become, the killer, the bank robber, the man who shot a preacher in cold blood, Buck sees as proof that he won. It completely reframes the entire movie. Nat's whole identity, his code, his vengeance, it was all engineered by the man he's been hunting. That's such a brutal piece of writing because revenge stories usually end with the hero proving he's better than his enemy, and this one suggests the opposite, that Nat became his enemy's masterpiece. After this gut-wrenching reveal, the story shifts toward the final act, where Nat regroups with Mary, Beckworth, Cuffy, and a few others including Lawman Bass Reeves, who's been tracking Buck's gang the whole film for his own reasons. They figure out Buck's real plan. He's not just hiding out, he's heading toward the all-black town of Redwood, which Buck apparently has some legal claim to from his father, intending to take it over and rule it like his own kingdom. The final battle in Redwood is just chaos in the best way. The townsfolk, who initially don't trust Nat's crew, end up fighting alongside them once Buck's gang rolls in guns blazing. There's a moment where Mary, of all people, ends up in a one-on-one confrontation with Trudy, and honestly Mary more than holds her own, which felt like such a satisfying flip considering Trudy held all the power over her earlier in the film. Cherokee Bill and Beckworth finally get their quick-draw duel, the one that's been hanging over the whole movie, and it ends exactly the way these things tend to in westerns, fast, brutal, and final. And then it's Nat versus Buck, one more time, except this time Nat isn't fighting for revenge anymore. Not really, he's fighting to stop Buck from doing to Redwood what Buck's whole ideology represents, this idea that power justifies cruelty. Their final confrontation isn't some long drawn-out duel either, it's quick, almost anticlimactic in a way that feels intentional, like the film is saying that closure doesn't come with fireworks, it just comes and then it's over. In the aftermath, Nat doesn't ride off into some triumphant sunset feeling whole. He's lost Pickett, he's been told the ugly truth about who shaped him, and he's standing in a town that now has to rebuild. The ending leaves things quieter than you'd expect after all that bloodshed, more reflective, like the violence solved the immediate problem but didn't undo 20 years of damage. What really stuck with me rewatching this for the recap is how the film uses these larger-than-life Western archetypes, the quick-draw gunslinger, the outlaw queen, the preacher with a dark past, but grounds them in this really human cycle of trauma. Buck isn't just a villain, he's a victim who became exactly what hurt him, and then deliberately created another version of himself in Nat. It's one of those rare action movies where the backstory monologue in the middle isn't just filler, it's the actual thesis of the whole film. Anyway, that's The Harder They Fall broken down. Let me know what you thought of that father reveal in the comments because I still think about it. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.